Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our podcast today. Today, we are continuing with our technical series. And in today's session, we will be talking about SAP single roles. SAP has provided us with the concept of building a single role, and there are kind of many different ways to build those single roles to achieve certain objectives. So maybe mentioning objectives, we'll cover that as part of this technical series, but for today, we are more focused on the technical part of building single roles. So, Cameron, if I can start with you, if you can maybe just mention one type of kind of a single role that companies do you make use of often, and then we'll ask Ross to just maybe add another option or two.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Neil. I think one of the common role types that I'm familiar with is the concept of the task and value role. Some people might also know it as the functional or enabler roles. And that is sort of where we group specific tasks or functions together. So whether that's a group of transactions or Fiori services, maybe a silly example, the process of creating and maintaining purchase orders, we would build a single role that caters specifically to those Fiori services and transactions. And then outside of that, with the value roles, we now group together the specific organizational or controlling fields, your company codes, plants, purchase orgs, purchase groups, etc. So when you are then assigning that access, you are assigning specific functions to your users. From a maintenance perspective, I personally feel that is something that's an easier process to sort of manage and maintain from an authorisations design perspective.
Right. Thank you for that. So if we for now just maybe ignore the value role and enabler role concept, if we talking about smaller task and functional roles, that is also how a lot of companies manage their access risk. How can you kind of easily avoid segregation of duty risks and also avoid having segregation of duty issues inherent at your single role level? Ross, can I ask you to maybe just talk about companies using job roles as part of the single role concept?
Sure. No problem, Emil. So I think any kind of role design is going to look towards the company's objectives in terms of what do they want to get out of their roles. So is it a priority over provisioning, ease of provisioning versus priority of risk management, priority of license management, etc. So I think job roles primarily focus on the ease of provisioning side of things. So within a job role, you typically use naming conventions associated with certain positions or job functions within your organization. As an example, if we were to create a single SAP role under the naming convention of an accounts payable clerk, within that single role, we would expect to group all of the transaction codes that would typically be used by accounts payable clerks in their day-to-day function, as well as the necessary controlling fields, controlling values within that role, under the assumption that if we were to assign this one role to anyone who's filling the position of an accounts payable clerk within our company, that one role will provide them with the access they require to go about executing their functions. I think that obviously provisioning benefits there, that it's a one role solution. The downside of that, of course, is that you may then result or end up with multiple SODs within the single role. We know that if we've got 10 accounts payable clerks in the organization, not all 10 of them are going to be performing the same exact function at every moment of every day. So that means that there's a higher likelihood of over-allocation of access. There also then poses challenges to ongoing maintenance to the role design, whereby if someone were to request access to a certain transaction code or certain Fiori app, you're going to find that transaction code or Fiori app is shared between many different job roles. So our authorization administrators are then posed with the challenge of choosing the right role to assign to a user who's maybe requesting access at the transaction or Fiori app level, instead compared to something like the role design that Cameron mentioned earlier, the task value role, where a transaction code or Fiori application will live in one single role, meaning that anyone requesting that access will receive that transaction code from the single role. There is no factor of choice there to decide what role goes to that user.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for that. I think we're already starting to touch a bit on role methodologies. So I think we'll, for now, not delve into too much detail on each. But Cameron, you mentioned earlier, made mention of the value role or enabler roles, and that is typically how you'll assign access for controlling fields or then organizational levels for users that do need access to it. Now, SAP also provides us with a functionality for parent and derived roles, or parent and child roles, as some people might call it. So, Ross, can you maybe quickly explain that to us, just how you would make use of parent and derived roles, either for small functional roles or even for large job roles?
Yeah, so I think the parent and derived role methodology is something, or component of SAP, the SAP authorization concept is something that can be applied across any sort of role methodology. So if we're living in an environment of a task and value role scenario, a parent and derived role concept would typically be applied to your enabler roles, whereby you have your master value role. So that is across all organizational levels, and that then can be derived into child roles that have separate or distinct values from one another within the roles themselves. So I think SAP's idea behind this is that the ease of maintenance, when you've got many roles that need to carry the same authorizations but provide access to different field values to users, it makes the maintenance of these roles easier if you can maintain the core or the content of that role in a central location, being your parent or master role, and have that then pushed down to all of your child roles. So effectively having hundreds, if not thousands, of a role that can, or versions of a role and its content being maintained from one central location. And of course, then that being applied across your methodologies, whether you need 100 versions of a single job role or 100 versions of a single value role, that kind of concept allows ease of maintenance and moving forward.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's kind of the intro to what we'll discuss in the future in our series, where we talk more about the pros and cons of the different role methodologies. So thank you very much to the both of you, and for the audience, thank you for watching. Please join us for the next sessions that we'll have as part of this technical series, where we'll show more the practical how to build these roles in SAP, how to make use of variants, Fiori catalogs, pages spaces, and so on. So thanks again for joining, and until the next time.
Thanks, everyone.